So with your temperature controller on the sand and water panel, you probably have a connection diagram that looks similar to this. Output number 6 and 7 on the right side there are activating two relays, R2 and R3. R2 and R3 are selectors for the output that has been selected on the switch. R2 meaning sand/water, which is indicated on the right side here, as well as R3 is the water only mode. R4 and R5 are indicators just used for selecting in another part of the circuitry. If you look at the side of the temperature controller inside your panel, you'll see that there is in fact 6 and 7 on the right side here. They're labeled as alarm 1 and alarm 2. They've been previously used as a more complicated means for setting the temperature, when in fact we should just be using terminals 1 and 2 for the output functionality. You'll have connections, of course, to 9 and 10 for your power in and your neutral, and then number 4 and 5 for your thermocouple. Here I'm showing the thermocouple, and I'm also showing the power in and neutral. Your terminal 1 and 2 is on the top left hand corner. It's actually labeled right there on the edging. So for programming this to make it work properly, what you essentially have to do is, of course, you'll have your set point and you won't be using any alarm functionality anymore. It doesn't do anything. So what we're going to do is push and hold button number 1. It starts flashing. You'll see this control function. So this is actually input type. You have a type 5 thermocouple, which is a K, so that's the correct value. Push button number 2 here to cycle. This is the direct unit, and it's in Celsius, so that's correct. Set limit high and set limit low. It doesn't matter what they are. We don't really change those. Control type is on off. This one is the heater type. So what you want to have is this heating and cooling mode. Most times it was sent out in the standard, but you want heating and cooling to act like a thermostat in your house. Pattern off. This is your object relativity to heating. So you want it to be in reverse mode for heating. If it's in OR-D, that is cooling, we want it to be in heating mode. Alarm type 1, put it to 0, and then we just exit out of this by pressing and holding button number 1. Next, we want to bring up our second menu. Just click the button number 1 instead of pressing and holding. You'll see L adjust. Cycle through the menu. CN5 is 0. This is the cold deadband, again 0. Hysteria. So this is what differentiates from your set point. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. I've set it to 5. That's typical of most ready mix. This is your cooling. We're not using cooling, so don't worry about it. This is your spring return. Don't worry about it. Turn it to off, and we're back to the beginning. Click button number 1 to exit. So this is how it essentially works. So you can see output 1 is active. Now, based on the set point, I should have a 5 degrees hysteria. So I set 16, turns off. Now, if I put it to 19, it's within that 5 degrees, so it's not going to reactivate the temperature. But watch, as soon as I set it to 21, it should give me the activating signal. It might be on a decimal, so put it 22. There you go. So now it's going to reheat it to 22 degrees Celsius. The only change that we have to make is on the back side here. You have those 2 wires like I showed you in the electrical diagram. You have wire number 30 and 33. You're going to combine those wires just by putting them under the same terminal. Instead of terminals number 6 and 7 here in the top, what you're going to do is take both of those leads and you're going to put them into terminal 1 right here. On terminal 2, which we can see from our electrical diagram, Terminal 2, you're actually going to make that wire number 15, which is on terminal 8. You can see that here, terminal 8. So once you do all that on site, then everything should work perfectly normal. This is the only thing that is dictating when to start and stop the steam generator when it's in water mode and sand and water mode. There's interlocking relays, but really those are more for alarm commands and dictating whether to run air or steam. And if this parameters are not set up correctly, then it won't work.